Long fly ball. That ball is caught by the Geeks Who Like Sports.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We hope it is good. Welcome to another edition of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carsillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California. Join my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Elias. Lee, how are you doing on this fine fall morning?
Two things, Ray. You probably could have done that baseball call better than me. If you don't follow Ray Carsillo at Ray Carsillo, make sure you check out his streams. He does amazing calls of amazing made-up video game sports that really will entertain you more than anything actually going on out there. Two, we do talk about the weather a lot. We should give a shout out to the people of Florida who are bracing themselves for a massive hurricane.
Yes.
Many of you are staying that I've spoken to. I wish you the best. I mean that. If you need to get out of there, get out of there. This is coming out before the storm hits.
Luck.
Get out of there. Good night. Good luck.
Yeah.
And may that hurricane go to hell.
Yeah. I mean,
hell, go to hell.
We can talk a lot about the weather and the strengthening hurricanes and all this other stuff. That's a whole Pandora's box. But
to our listener in Florida, be careful.
Yeah, be careful. Climate change is real. Anyway, we've got a lot. We got a big show for you, folks. We got some comic book stuff. We got a little bit of video game stuff. We got. We're gonna go baseball. We're gonna go football. We're gonna go hockey. We're gonna go wrestling. But we are going to kick things off with college football once again, because we've been talking about it, folks. This has been the craziest college football season that I can ever remember, and boy, has it been fun. It is fun. Again, upset after upset. Texas A&M beating number 9 Missouri, SMU beating Louisville, Arkansas beating Tennessee, Washington beating Michigan, Minnesota beating USC, and Vanderbilt, for the first time in 23 tries, beats number 1 Alabama 40-35 to the point they rip down the goalpost. They march it down Broad Street in Nashville. Lee, what's going on here in college football, and just how great is it right now if you like college football, because you can't predict anything from week to week.
This is called parity. And this is how you want sports to be, because, Ray, I remember my whole life, if Alabama's ranked number 1, they're losing maybe a game the entire season.
Yeah.
You do not know anymore who's going to win. This is going to be a great college playoff this year.
Yes.
First off, congrats to Vanderbilt. The scene of them marching that goalpost to the river and tossing it in the river.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something only college sports can do.
Yeah, there was a police barricade to stop them from doing it. They marched right on through.
Right through it. Yeah, it was an amazing scene. If you haven't seen that, look that up online. There's some pretty cool montage videos of this crowd taking the goalpost all the way down to the river. Look, it's exciting. I mean, I hate to say this, but it's like almost after last year's snafu with Florida State, it's like, hey, look, we're actually kind of being rewarded. Not Florida State. They're being punished, but the rest of the league is being rewarded.
Yeah, no more
you don't know.
Daniels.
Yeah, we don't even know who number 1's going to be. Like, we don't know. All right. Not only does Vanderbilt have to be ranked, but they have to be ranked high now. Right. So
I mean, I don't know about high,
crazy.
but at least I think top 25 for sure.
Well, if you beat number 1, you should automatically obviously be in that. Let's go to the rankings right now. I'm going to do it. They should be out by now by the time that we're recording this. I'm saying this to hold airtime now. Here we go. Top 25. I need Stanley. Come on, ESPN, the app, killing me.
So slow.
Here we go. Rankings.
As
of right now, number 1 team right now is Texas.
That makes sense.
All right. I'm looking for Vanderbilt right now.
Vanderbilt's 3-2. They should be top 25.
Yeah, they might not be on here, dude. I'm not seeing them, which is unbelievable to me.
That is
shame. They are not ranked.
Womp womp.
I'm looking at this. Yeah, they did not get ranked, but they did receive votes. How can that happen? Now, again, you do have teams 5-1, 4-1, but I mean, like this. Look, they're moving up. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, a lot of teams moving up. Nebraska, surprised they're not moving up more. They beat Rutgers this week 14-7 in an ugly game, but they're 5-1 now.
Alabama moved down to 7th, by the way. They moved down 6 spots.
Yeah, and we're gonna have a really interesting. We got 2 versus 3 this week. Ohio State versus Oregon.
That'll be
both
good.
5-0 teams. I mean, whoever wins that game, I get Texas is number 1 right now, and they are, I believe, playing. They're playing 18 Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry this week. But I mean, honestly, I think whoever wins this game between Ohio State and Oregon should jump up to number 1 in my personal opinion.
I mean, you should say that. It depends how dominant Texas is in their game,
or not. Yeah, or not dominant. But I'm thinking Ohio State. I think Ohio State is probably going to win that one, but we'll see because they're both 5-0 for a reason. So it's kind of a coin when you got 2 versus 3.
It's an interesting year in college football for sure.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, Vanderbilt beating Bama, that's huge. Syracuse beats UNLV. Also, by the way, UNLV first week without their quarterback. Syracuse won 44-41 in overtime, I believe. I believe that the quarterback that we mentioned, of course, last week, who's sitting out for not getting his money, I believe did not play. I want to double check that. A lot of box scores this week, folks. So there's a lot to go through. I mean, obviously, there's a lot always going on in college football. So, it was different. Yeah, different quarterback. It was Williams was the quarterback for UNLV this week. So, I hope I'm saying this correct. Hajj Malik Williams was the quarterback for the Rebels this week. So his debut got spoiled by the Syracuse Orangemen. But yeah, you can't make it up, folks. It's every week is something different, and it's amazing and phenomenal.
It's awesome.
Yeah. You know what is well, if you're a Jets fan, you know what's not awesome?
Getting fired.
Breaking news. Robert Saleh, for the first time since 1976, the Jets have departed with a head coach in the middle of the season. The New York Jets fell to 2-3 last week after losing to the now 5-0 Minnesota Vikings in the London game. And supposedly, Woody Johnson, the billionaire owner for the Jets, all his British friends were making fun of him because he lost. And so he had a knee-jerk reaction, and he fired Saleh. I will say this, Robert Saleh is a great defensive mind. He will find a job as a defensive coordinator again. He turned the Jets defense around, but this is a team that has not been able to score points since he got there. And you just got beat by your former first draft pick, Sam Darnold, who's now 2-0 against his old team, by the way. Darnold now 2-0 in his career against the Jets since leaving New York, and now 5-0 as a Viking. The Jets, they looked at Aaron Rodgers. I think somebody said it. Aaron Rodgers looked like a character in Fortnite needing revived this week as he crawled on the field after getting hit again and again and again and again. The Jets still have problems, and as we said at the beginning of the year, the Jets will live and die with Aaron Rodgers, and right now they are dying.
Yeah, it's not looking great. I'll also say that you kind of feel bad for Saleh because, it's
not his fault.
It's not his fault. And it's one of those things, like, I don't know why you'd fire him now.
Yeah. 2-3, it's still wide. You still got a chance.
It is. Look, it's no different than like people calling for Nick Sirianni's head in Philadelphia right now. It's like, this is not the time to make a coaching change, right?
No.
If he loses the next 4 in a row, sure. All right.
Sure.
But if they keep going 500, you wait till the end of the season because bringing in a new head coach is a nightmare in the middle of the season. This isn't like hockey or baseball where a manager can come in and just instantaneously turn a team around. It does. Yeah. It just does not work that way in football.
100%.
All right. There's two. I mean, you cannot take their system away. You can't take the plays away.
Yeah.
And what most coaches do, Ray, is they shorten the playbook dramatically, and that doesn't do it either.
No.
So
he'll get a shot in the arm maybe next week or the week for a couple of weeks, but it is not a long-term solution.
No, it never is. So he will land on his feet. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, that was swift justice.
Yeah. Unbelievable. I mean, and the funny thing is that the Giants are also 2-3 now, but we feel great after beating Seattle 29-20. Although I'll say this, we really could have very easily lost that game. Again, the Giants with turnover problems, and it took a miracle block kick at the last second. But the Giants find a way to win. And the Giants might have figured something out. Don't let the other team have the ball. 2 weeks in a row now, the Giants, which is again something I've been saying for years. The Giants dominated time of possession. Their rookie running back, Tyrone Tracy, making us kind of say, again, it's only 1 week, but if he keeps this up, he had 129 rushing yards last week against a solid Seattle defensive line. The Giants' offensive line continues to look better and better. Singletary, to me, should not be starting now. You should keep running the rookie, and if he does this a few more weeks, we're going to be saying Saquon who? Saquon what? Saquon bye-bye? Who cares? because 129 yards, that's nothing to scoff at for a rookie against a good defensive line. But again, also the Giants' offensive line, only 3 sacks allowed this week. A couple of those because of Daniel Jones being Daniel Jones. But the Giants' offensive line, what a concept. The Giants' offensive line and controlling the ball and running the ball. What a concept. Old school football. It hasn't changed in 100 years, folks. Run the ball, control the clock, don't turn it over, and you're going to win ball games. Oh, my God. Lee, we figured it out. Oh! Like, I'm sorry. It's just very frustrating because it's something I've been saying for years.
Yeah,
It looked
look,
good this week.
playing edgy football, there is a time for that,
Sure.
but it's not all the time. It's usually spot check, momentary, like you got to do something right now.
Yeah.
Giants were doing that all the time until this week. Like you said, like simple football.
Yeah.
You will not beat the best team in the league doing that, but you will win games doing that.
Yeah.
And that's it. Again, Eagles didn't play this week as a bye week, but like that's what we're all saying here in Philadelphia. Like, what are you doing? Just play the simple game.
Yeah.
You have the talent.
Yep. 100%. 100%.
Now let's go for it on 4th and 4. What are you doing?
It makes no sense.
No, take the points.
Yeah, don't play outside of yourselves.
Yeah,
right.
It's 4th and 1, different story.
Sure.
And Philadelphia lives and dies on the Phillies special. It's like, guys, that was exactly what I'm talking about. That was the right moment to do that against the right team.
Right.
Didn't do it all season for a reason.
Yeah. No, exactly. And that's the thing. Is like you gotta just play. You gotta play smart. Play smart. But who do the Eagles have next week?
The other team.
I know the Giants play the Bengals on Sunday night. By the way, I'll be doing comedy because this way. I'll be doing comedy on Sunday night so that nobody has to watch the Giants and Bengals. So be sure to see.
You're helping people out, man.
It's back-to-back weeks. After the week after that, it's Jets Steelers.
Ooh, Eagles have the Browns, so that's why.
You should win that game.
That's why I forgot who we were playing because
that's not a team. That's not. That is a team that quits. That is a team in disarray.
Actually, I will make a statement that if the Eagles lose that game, Nick Sirianni will be fired. I will say that.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
If you lose to the absolutely. I mean, the Browns might have the number 1 overall pick because I think right now the Browns are the worst team in football because they're not a team. Deshaun Watson has more settled lawsuits as a Brown than he does touchdown passes. That's a fact, 23-19. So that's a fact.
What a stat.
Yeah. That is a fun fact. So, I mean, that just kind of shows you the Cleveland Browns always make the wrong decision. They let Baker Mayfield go, who, by the way, lost a heartbreaker to Atlanta on Thursday. I mean, talk about a barn burner. I said it on my TikTok, folks. And I do a weekly Wednesday TikTok giving my football picks. I said that last week was going to be a difficult week to predict, and it was because I'm like, there's going to be more one-score games than anything else, and we're going to have multiple overtime games. And I was spot on. We had multiple overtime games and a lot of one-score games.
You called it.
I did. Sometimes your broken clock is right twice today. Although I've had a pretty good record. I have a pretty good record. I'm 42-36 now on the year, so I'm still above 500, even though I had a sub 500 week. But mostly because I just didn't know out of the garbage team versus garbage team that was Broncos and Raiders and Patriots and Dolphins, and I'm like, I don't know. These are all terrible teams. I have no idea. I don't know. But and of course, I ended up going Raiders and Patriots, and so therefore Dolphins and Broncos won. But also a bit of a blow up on the sideline for the Broncos between Sean Payton and Bo Nix. But afterwards, both said that's just us saying we love each other. Lee, do you believe that? Do you think they love each other? They're in Denver.
Said on the sideline or said in the locker room stays with the team. It's none of our business. And yes, I think when you get into an environment where you're competing all the time, and it's the highest of stakes, a contentious relationship is obvious. So yes, I believe that is not untrue.
Yeah, no, I think that it is one of those things. Like you said, it's just the heat of the moment. But I think that
the media loves
Sean Payton grooming Bo Nix to be a great quarterback, I think is actually going to be good for Bo in the long run. I said it. Even though I think Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback to come out of the draft, I still think Bo Nix and Michael Penix, if he ever gets a chance, are going to be solid quarterbacks. I think Drake May and Caleb Williams actually have the biggest risks of being bust, and JJ McCarthy.
Right. I'll also say that Sean Payton has worked with great quarterbacks before. So
yeah, a little guy named Drew Brees.
I think he knows what he's doing on that front.
Maybe. But But yeah, so an interesting week in the NFL. A lot of upheaval, some surprises, a lot of fun games. The Ravens beat the Bengals, came back to beat them in overtime, which is why I don't think the Bengals offense is explosive, but the Bengals defense can't stop anybody, which is why I'm curious to see what happens against the Giants, because the Giants offense struggles to score, but the Giants defense is pretty good. So we'll see what happens. It's two complete opposite teams playing each other on what will be a terrible game on Sunday night. It's going to probably be a 3-0 final because of this now. And again, go see my comedy show in Hollywood on October 13th. Go to my socials for links. Lee, any other thoughts on this week in the NFL?
No, I'll be honest with you. I was more focused on baseball this week, Ray, which we're going to talk about in a second. I mean, again, the Eagles had a bye week. The joke that I have is that my son's team won, the Phillies won, and the Eagles did not piss me off.
Yeah.
Good Sunday.
There you go. Good Sunday indeed. Yeah. At least for that game one, the Giants and Yankees won for me for game one. So it was a good weekend for me as well. But of course, the Yankees, as we move now into baseball. The Yankees would lose game two because Aaron Boone thinks that playoff games are the same as regular season games. And so he's like, hey, John Birdie, you've never played, you're 34 years old. You played thousands of Major League Baseball games, but you never played first base. Let's change that. It's game two of the playoffs. Go play first base.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Because he's a moron.
Why would you do that? I'm trying to think logically the value of that.
He was desperate to try to get a right-handed bat into the lineup against the lefty Cole Reagans, because the Yankees all year have struggled against lefties. But John Birdie is a slap hitter. He's a number 9 hitter. His bat, and it proved it last night, was not going to make or break the game. I would much have rather have had the switch hitting Oswaldo Cabrera in the lineup, who can also play first base and is basically now the de facto first baseman with the Anthony Rizzo injury. And then Aaron Boone is like, Carlos Rodon, I know you've sucked for us this year. I know that Clark Schmidt has had a 2.5 ERA. I know that Luis Hill might be Rookie of the Year. But Carlos Rodon, I like the cut of your jib. You look like a bulldog. You're going to get the ball in game 2. And then proceeded to lose 4-2 and he only went 3 innings, by the way, and taxed the entire bullpen because Aaron Boone thinks it's still the regular season.
Ray, it's all right in front of you. But here's the deal: everyone's 1-1 right now. So it's
first time in history.
It's a pretty good divisional series right now, and some amazing finishes in some of these games.
Yes, amazing. Speaking of amazing finishes, obviously both the Mets winning how they beat you guys in game 1 late. You were nursing a 1-0 lead. They came back and scored 6. Then you won 6 in the 8th inning. You won 6-2. They won 6-2. But then you guys in a back and forth game 2 walk it off.
That I was at.
Yeah, you were at. And Nick Castellanos, not quite a earth-shattering home run, but a walk-off single. It works just the same.
Well, he had a home run. We had back-to-back home runs in that game. It was looking pretty dull there for a while. And then Bryce Harper hit a 2-run homer. Then Nick Castellanos hit one right after that. He had a big game that night. And then we had 3 come-from-behind comebacks in that game. We came back 3 times, and then we won it in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs on a 1-2 count. Drama. Amazing playoff baseball. And I'll say that this is like a Rocky fight. Yeah, joked with you. The Rocky montage music has just started playing in that series as they go back to New York. Now, Ray, one of the interesting things about that from a pitching standpoint is they held Aaron Nola back to start tonight, right? Which is dangerous for the Mets because the Phillies can take a real stranglehold on this series tonight should they win. And then they have the option to go back to Wheeler. They could go to Ranger Suarez. I mean, there's a lot of different options here now for the Phillies. I would say that this momentum and series now is back in the Phillies' favor, even though they don't have home field advantage.
Yes. No, I agree with that. I think that you guys ripped momentum away from the Mets. Absolutely. But Lee, the Mets had Grimace riding the subway this morning.
It was great. Yeah. Awesome. Way to go.
It's Grimace is going to be at the game, Lee.
He was at the game the other night. They kept showing him on the big screen covering his eyes after they lost that game.
Can Aaron Nola strike out Grimace?
Aaron Nola is going to do fine. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Again, the little bit of the gamble here paid off because, the Phillies put in a pitcher that is statistically much better at home than he is on the road. And it's like, again, this is good management here by Topper for the team here, right? So I'm very interested to see what happens here with the team. Again, starting Sanchez and then now starting Nola. And again, it gives us the advantage from a pitching duel standpoint. Keep in mind, too, that I think the longer the series goes, the worse it is for the Mets because they got to be getting
100%.
tired.
Yeah, they're tired. They don't have the starting pitching you guys have.
No, and again, even in game one, we had fantastic pitching. It's just we could not hit. But I'll tell you what, when Bryce Harper hit that home run, you could see the team come back. Like all of a sudden, the bats came alive.
Yeah,
and if that continues,
that's all you need. You need that one moment. And actually,
and by the way, to all the Mets fans texting me trash about Philadelphia, first off, you wouldn't make it here, so don't bother texting me anymore. I'm not going to defend my city. Just don't come here. Second of all, Ray, if I'm not mistaken, that team started 0-5 and no one showed up to the stadium to support that team.
Oh, yeah. And
then
they went on like a 10-25 stretch. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, now they're all there. Now they're all there acting like they've been there the whole season.
Yeah, well, because all those the front runners on Long Island are like, oh, good, OMG, look at Grimace, yay.
I'm not saying that stuff doesn't happen, but stop acting like you are these fans that are there all the time. You are just like everybody else.
Yeah, Mets are, there are no such, there are very few ride or die Mets fans. But and honestly, and we need to talk about it because I do want to go back to the Yankees very briefly. There's one thing I want to ask you about that came out this morning, but we're gonna go now to LA because at least I'll say this: at least Philly fans have not killed people in their parking lots, and did not cause a playoff. And did not cause a playoff delay in the ALDS or NLDS, excuse me, like the Dodgers fans did. LA fans are awful. You want to talk about front runners. You want to talk about entitled, right? You want to talk about folks who are like, we got Ohtani, we're going to win everything. LA fans are amongst the worst, and I am rooting so hard for the Padres. Even Dave Roberts is like, Manny Machado threw the ball at me. I saw this 100 times. It was the usual, just chucking the ball to the side. Like he was probably aiming for the ball, like trying to get it to the ball boy, and it happened to hit off the net. And Dave Roberts, who as usual had his head so far up his butt, he wasn't paying attention, and he got scared because he's like, "I'm against the big ball. I'm Dave Roberts. I did one thing in my career, and people think I'm great. I won a Mickey Mouse World Series, and people think I'm great. You suck. The Dodgers suck. And boy, can I really hope the Padres put them in their place. Oh my God. I'm so sick and tired of hearing of the Dodgers and all these front running, know nothing fans who have no clue about even the most basic facts about their own. I'm a Yankee fan and I know more about the Dodgers than most Dodger fans out here. That's a fact. A fact. I've been to Dodger games and I school these bozos because they're morons. Anyway, the Padres absolutely obliterated Jack Flaherty in Game 2 in amazing fashion. Jurickson Profar with probably the meme of the playoffs, which is robbing a home run, but then sung it like he didn't rob it. Right. Which I guess they were like, well, that's riled up the fans. Doesn't matter. Dude made an amazing play. Give him credit where it's due. Lee, your thoughts on Dodgers-Padres?
First thought is when Ohtani goes over 4, you see what happens. All right. And I'll say this right now. I will never doubt that guy.
Yeah.
I'll never doubt him. I'll never say, well, if you take him out of the series, it's over, because I don't think that that's possible.
Right.
But it does show you if he's not performing, they have a hard time winning.
He's the table setter. Yeah.
He's the table setter. He's everything. Okay.
Yeah.
The Phillies have a lot of weapons, right? If it's not Schwarber, it's Harper. If it's not Harper, it's Turner. If it's not Turner, apparently it's Castellanos. So it's just, there's a lot of different weapons. And you can say that about the Yankees too, right? If Judge is having an off night, there's plenty of guys that can pick up the slack.
That's how he won Game 1. Judge is 1 for 8 so far in the playoffs.
And I'm not going to sit here and say that the LA Dodgers don't have weapons, but if your atomic bomb's not working, you're going to go to war.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is not a team tested for war.
Yeah. Like, again, being from Philadelphia, right, the hypocrisy when other fan bases do bad is annoying.
Yes.
But no game should ever be shut down because of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, look, if there's going to be a battle on the field, keep it to the baseball. If there's going to be bad blood, make it real. Let's not make it like crap like this. Right. So look, here's the deal. Everyone's 1-1.
Yes.
I mean, now these are best of 3 series.
Yes.
So it's like it's amazing because everybody says you lose game one, it's over. Well, apparently not.
No. The thing is, if the winner of game one wins the series 70% of the time.
A lot of the time, yeah.
Right.
But
So
I never appreciated those stats. I'm not gonna lie to you because
and especially because now things are so different in the modern game.
Right, they're different. I think also everyone knows you can come back now, right?
Yes.
You might need a little luck, but these teams are all good. And it's like, I don't think they're going to quit. Now, I will say this too, that last season we talked about being playoff ready. All right. And I think, you're seeing now the teams that had a week off, maybe in that game 2 or even after game 1, just kind of wake up a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Like this, I had that criticism of the Braves last year. Great regular season teams did not wake up in the playoffs.
Very
right.
Very
but I mean, I don't get that feeling in these series, and I think people are becoming aware of that. This is not any like
they're starting to condition themselves better. It's no longer new. They're starting to condition themselves better for the buyout.
The wild card stuff is not like it used to be, right? I think teams are waking up of like playoff, and actually you hear them all saying it. Playoff baseball is different than regular season baseball. You didn't hear 100%. Anybody say that last year, right? At least I didn't. Right.
Yeah, Aaron Boone still thinks it's regular season baseball.
Well, we'll see what happens in game 3. But I'll say this too, Ray. Like, because I'm close. Like, I know the Phillies did a really intense team scrimmage the other day.
Yeah.
Right. Like they played hard against. They went against each other, like to wake themselves up. Like it's cool to see. You know what I mean? But man, it's good for baseball when it's like this, Ray. I'll say that it's fun to see these go back and forth. You don't know. Nobody knows who's going to win. Right. Every game now, they go, that team's got it locked up until they don't.
I mean, and just to quickly touch on the last division series which was Tigers and Cleveland. I was streaming yesterday during game 2, and so many Cleveland fans were like, we beat them 7-0. How can you say the Tigers are still hot? Like it's one game. Like it's one game. Like, it's 0-0. I'm like, you're being no hit right now by Tarek Skubal. And at the point they were. Skubal, by the way, 7 innings, 0 runs. In fact, Cleveland would only get 3 hits that entire game, because then when the Tigers would hit the go ahead and eventually game-winning 3-run home run in the 9th, suddenly all the Cleveland fans left my chat. They didn't want to talk anymore, Lee. They ran away.
Right. Question for you.
So congratulations, you won game 1 7-0, but you lost game 2 3-0. Right. These series, it ain't over till it's over.
And the pitching matters here too.
Pitching matters, and it is a cliche for a reason. It ain't over till it's over. And now Cleveland has to go to Detroit for 2 games against the hottest team coming into the playoffs, which were the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, I'm going to say this again. Like, and this is the round where you start to see if you don't have great starting pitching, it can really hurt you.
And that's why Detroit got clobbered in game 1.
Exactly. Right. Ray, last question around baseball for me. Do you think any or multiple series will go 5 games?
Yes.
Which ones do you think?
I think the Yankees will go 5. I think I think Detroit, Cleveland could. I think the American League Series could both go 5. Yeah. I honestly think you guys will win in 4, and I think the Padres will win in 4.
I hope we win in 4. And again, we have the pitching to back it up. I mean, the big question I have, if we win tonight with Nola on the mound, I wonder, do they put Wheeler back out there, or do they go to Ranger to try and close it out? Because again, whoever you put out there is not available right away for the next round. So you got
and that's the thing is that you save Wheeler for game 5, or if you do win game 4, then you have Wheeler go game 1 of the NLCS.
Right, which is what you want.
Which is what you want. So, I think you go if you're up 2-1, I think you go Ranger. I mean, and honestly, the same with the Yankees. I think, like, I was talking with my uncle yesterday, and he was like, oh, Cole's going game 4. I'm like, I don't know. I think you say, because again, if the Yankees should win, you put Cole game 4 only if you lose game 3.
Absolutely. If it's a must win, you go with
your ace. If it's not a must win, you save him for either a must win game 5, or then you have him game 1 of the next round. I think you go Luis Seal game 4, who to me should have gone game 2. But what do I know? I'm just a fan, and Aaron
just
Boone
a fan.
Gets
all right in front of you.
Yeah, all right in front of him. Really quick, last thing for baseball. Very, very last thing. This bothered me a lot. I love Jazz Chisholm Jr. I love his honesty. I love that he wears his heart on his sleeve. I love the fact that he speaks his mind. I thought it was hysterical that he basically called the Angels not a real LA team, because it's true, by the way. They play in Orange County. It's the same way as the Giants play in Jersey, even though they said they're from New York. Although to be fair, at least the Giants did used to play in New York. I don't think the Angels I don't know if the Angels ever played in LA. Maybe for a year. They were at the Forum or something. Yeah, for like a year. But anyway, the point is, the Angels should go back to being called the California Angels. But also, he wasn't wrong. It was funny. But then he made, to me, what was a big snafu yesterday. He said after the game 2 loss, he said the Royals got lucky and that we're going to win this series. Now, I like the guarantees and I like the confidence. But the fact that he didn't just say that we're going to win, he said they got lucky. To me, that's bulletin board material for the Royals. That is something to get them fired up. And that even though they were a wild card team, there is talent there and they have great pitching. Yeah. They are not somebody that you want to light a fire under. And nobody wants to see, particularly me, Royals versus Tigers in the ALCS. But saying the other team got lucky.
Don't do it. Don't give them ammunition.
That's what I'm afraid of. Lee, your thoughts?
No, Ray, look, listen. Teams this time of year look for anything to get motivated.
Yep.
All right, and I'll say this too. It's I don't want to sound condescending. It's tough to understand the level of compete you need to get in yourself at these times of year. And you will look for anything. Shaq tells stories of like creating lies and believing those lies just to get himself to a point where he hated the other team.
Yeah.
I don't think it's super healthy, and I hate's a strong word, but I am saying that, yeah, look, you'll do anything to get an edge. Great example. Look, like we were talking about Nick Castellanos. There's this amazing video of him striking out, swinging at pitches in the dirt, and the fans booed him. This is all in game 2.
Yeah.
And he says, you can see it. He goes, you can people. Like he was pissed at the fans.
Yeah.
And he comes out, he does all that stuff late in the game. He came back. He's like, yeah, the fans pissed me off. And it sharpened my senses. Thank God for them. And this is a guy who gets the city saying something like that.
Right.
All right. But you see him visibly say, F you guys. Yeah. Right. To the own face. But he needed it. He needed that to get himself where he needed to be. You'll use anything.
Yeah.
You'll use anything. So I like it when I see teams use that. But why you would give anyone dirt? You hear Michael Jordan tell these stories about like, don't talk to him.
The slightest thing.
Don't say anything to him. It's a bad idea. Always.
Yeah. So I really think that was a mistake by Jazz Chisholm yesterday.
Well,
and that's why I worry that I was saying Yankees in 4, and now it might be Royals in 5. So we'll see what happens. Don't give the other team ammunition, Lee. You just said it.
Don't do it
perfectly. Moving on from baseball now to hockey. It's hockey season.
What?
It's hockey season.
What?
The first game is in the books. The Devils beat the Sabres. By the way, I really quickly want to say I love that the NBA sends their champions over to Abu Dhabi for international. They send the Celtics and Nuggets, and the NHL sends to Europe the Devils and Sabres.
Yes, for 2 games, 0-2.
Yeah,
Sabres.
So the Devils, good for them. But the rest of the league starting tonight. The Rangers kick off tomorrow night on Wednesday Night Hockey against the Penguins. So by the way, NHL 25, their predictions came out. NHL 25 says the Rangers are going to win the Cup this year, which means we just give them the Cup now. Please, just give them the Cup now. We don't have to play this season. Just give the Rangers the Cup. Just please, let's get the Rangers the Cup. Please. My heart can't take it. My heart really can't take it.
Yeah, I can take it.
I watched the Ranger get hyped season opener video right before we went on the podcast, and I was almost in tears because I'm like, I can't do this again. I can't do this again just to lose in the Eastern Conference Finals.
You can do it. You can do it again. You have more cups in your lifetime than I do, so shut up.
It's 1-0.
Shut up.
By the way,
just shut up. You had the most wonderful Stanley Cup in the last 40 years.
Yes.
Shut up.
Another one. Please,
sir,
would you know? Please, sir, can I have some more?
Please, sir, can I have another Stanley Cup, please?
Please, sir,
listen, I'm really excited for this season on the heels of what may have been one of the greatest NHL seasons ever played. Mm-hmm. You're seeing a lot of things, a lot of new players coming in the league this year, a lot of first round draft picks maturing now. Yeah, I think we're in for another great season.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a great season as well. I still think Florida is probably still the favorites in the East right now, at least to kick things off.
I mean, maybe. I mean,
they their core together, right?
Yeah, they did, but that's not always a good thing. Sometimes you got to bring in fresh blood. I mean, like the teams I think you got to look out for, honestly. In the East, look, the Rangers are right there, man. Like I said, They're in the window. They're in that 3 to 5 year window right now.
Yeah.
As long as I can get Shesterkin where they need him to be and playing and get a contract signed, things are going to be good.
I want to mention that it is rumored right before we went live that Kevin Weeks, former NHL goaltender and now NHL reporter,
the forehead of hockey.
Yes, more like a 5-head, but he hey, I love Kevin Weeks. Love Kevin Weeks. He said that Shesterkin was offered a record 11-year, $88 million contract.
Yes.
And turned it down. Lee, is Shesterkin worth more than a record contract already? And B, what are the odds that this is his last season as a Ranger?
So the answer to that question is, well, that's up to Shesterkin and see how he plays.
Yeah.
If you haven't won a Stanley Cup, that's tough for me to say yes.
Yeah.
Okay. If he won last year, sure. Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
You can hold out.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if he thinks there's better prospects and better teams. And I think his attitude is, if I win here this year, I'll stay. And if not, no way. Now he's got to put his money where his mouth is. And this is one of those things, like, you got to hope to God he doesn't get injured now.
Yeah.
All right. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. You don't want to have any kind of that stuff happening right before a season.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say it again. The Rangers are set. Boston is right there. You got Florida again. Yeah. The usual.
Carolina will still be competitive. You guys are on the up and up. Pittsburgh and Washington on the down and down.
Yeah, I think when I look at the Eastern Conference this year, it's the usual suspects vying for the Cup final berth. But you got a lot of exciting young teams coming up. Flyers with Matvei Michkov is going to be fun to watch. This is the first superstar Philadelphia's had in quite some time. Mm-hmm. I do love what Torch said is, like, he's not a savior. He's 19. So they're clearly mentoring him the correct way. But this guy is showtime when he gets on the ice. So we'll see what happens there. But when you look at the Eastern Conference, I feel like just like last year, it's like my pick of the Rangers. Carolina's the dark horse. Yeah. Florida may burn out. I don't know if they're going to have enough energy to go all the way a third time in a row.
Sure.
But when you look to the Western Conference, Ray, a lot of teams could make it back here again. I mean, you have to look at Nashville seriously now with Steven Stamkos in the
100%.
lineup.
Yeah.
Colorado again, right there. Vegas has not gone anywhere.
Yeah. Edmonton, if they can get some depth and a goaltender.
Edmonton, they're there now. They're in their window, obviously.
Right.
All right. We'll see what happens. It's one of those things. A lot of things have to go right. They're not going to have their horrible start like they did last year.
Yeah.
In fact, I think the opposite will happen. I think they're going to be really hot at the start.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Look, I'm looking forward to the season. I always love when hockey comes back. Not just because it's my favorite sport. I just like there's good storylines this year, and that'll make it fun.
Yeah. No. For sure. And I'll say this. I'm going to say this already right now. To all the experts who keep picking Buffalo, it's not Buffalo's year again. Who keep picking Buffalo to make the playoffs. Buffalo's not making
Buffalo.
Well, just to make the playoffs. Buffalo's not making the playoffs.
Well, we'll see. Yeah. I mean,
no, Buffalo's not making. No. Buffalo's not making the playoffs.
They're gonna be a fringe. I'll put it that. That's as far as I'll go. They might be flirting with that.
No, Buffalo's still not making the playoffs.
My early pick, if I had to pick right now for the Stanley Cup final, it's going to be the New York Rangers versus the Colorado Avalanche.
Ooh, that'd be a great series.
Yes.
NHL said Rangers versus Edmonton, and Rangers win in 7. That's what NHL said.
I think people looked past Edmonton last year a little bit because of their start.
Yeah, and now now everybody's focused on them.
Well, and that documentary came out on Amazon. They focused on them. Like, we'll see how they respond.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I mean, and the other storyline is Ovechkin chasing down Wayne Gretzky this year. I don't think he's going to get it this year, but I think he had a down year last year. I actually drafted him in my fantasy draft because he typically bounces back.
Yeah.
And I'm expecting him to do that. His age is not a thing for me. Like, I think he's going to do very well this year.
Yeah, no, I will say this. I do think if there were going to be any changes in the playoffs, I think, or the top, I think Pittsburgh and Washington are definitely on the downturn. And I hate to say it, but now that the Devils have a goalie now, Jacob Markstrom's phenomenal.
Oh, the Devils could absolutely get in.
Yeah. I was afraid of this at the trade deadline for them last year, and I'm glad they had at least waited till the offseason. But Jacob Markstrom's legit, folks. I mean, he showed it in 2 games against Buffalo, but you're gonna see this. He's not Brodeur, but he is a good goalie.
No one's Brodeur. Like, that's the other thing too.
No, but the Devils could be dangerous this year, and I am worried about them, and I hate them a lot.
Well, I will say that somewhat outside, Devils Rangers, when that's popping, it's good for the game.
Yeah, no, for sure. I still hate the Devils.
Well, we both do. But here's the thing. Here's a funny conversation to have. The amount of respect that I have for Devils fans versus the lack of respect I have for Mets fans is astounding. I respect Devils fans. Sorry, Siri, I'm not talking to you. I respect them because they're technically a very small market team.
Yes.
I said this. They're in the shadow of the Rangers, just like the Mets
and
are.
Philly, they're squeezed between New York and Philly.
The Mets are in a similar position, but Devils fans love the Devils. And it's
the five of them that are out there are very hard.
Hey, listen, I'm being serious. Devils fans support their team. I don't find them to be fair weather fans. They don't flip to the Rangers. It's like Devils fans are true to the Devils. And I'm not saying there aren't Mets fans out there like that, guys, but Devils fans just don't complain like you.
Yeah.
The complaining. It's like, guys, shut up.
They also did have 3 cups in 8 years, so that does help. That does help keep you satiated.
There's another thing we should be talking about, Ray.
Oh yeah, that's also true. They win, but the Mets have not won in 40 years.
They have the best goalie of all time. The Mets haven't had great players. Is that what?
Well, actually, you know what happens is the Mets have great players.
You wasted them. You wasted David Wright's career.
They wasted David Wright, Darryl Strawberry won more as a Yankee. Dwight Gooden won just as much as a Yankee as he did as a Met. Right. That's a fact. Not personal accolades, but in terms of team accolades.
Your greatest claim is that Wheeler didn't beat you. Way to go.
Yeah.
Enough Mets.
Do people think of David Cone? When you think of David Cone, do you think of him more? Do you think of him as a Yankee, not as a Met?
I don't even think of him as a Met.
You forget as a
Met.
Met. What? I even think of him more as a Blue Jay than a Met.
Ray, I'll just say there's a lot of bad blood here.
Yeah. Speaking of bad blood.
Yeah. Put up the layup. Dunk.
This is always fun because wrestling is like that perfect transition between sports and geek.
And before you dive into it, I'm like in the middle of the McMahon documentary.
Yeah.
And following bad blood. We're obviously going to talk about the big surprise that happened, but it's like that we were waiting for this kind of post WrestleMania pop. We felt the turn. We talked about this a few weeks ago. We felt the turn, and now it has popped. And now we're on the road to something exciting happen.
Yeah. So Bad Blood was an interesting pay-per-view. Not a lot of no surprises. No, not in terms of the match outcome. I should say,
but storylines.
But storyline surprises. Starting off with the return of Raquel Rodriguez, actually joining Liv Morgan. I actually really like this league because I don't know if you watched Raw last night, but Raquel kind of came out in her sunglasses, all black, behind Liv and Dom, and I'm like, ooh, I'm getting Diesel vibes. I'm getting Kevin Nash vibes from Raquel Rodriguez, which also, by the way, you realize it when she's standing next to 5'3" Liv that Rodriguez is 6 foot tall. Yeah. And I'm like, this is smart. This is a great way for a naturally talented, phenomenal in the ring wrestler to rebrand herself, get comfortable again on the main roster after all her injuries, and acting as the bodyguard / valet driver for Liv and Dom until obviously eventually she'll turn on them. But right now, that's smart. Her coming out to protect Liv at Bad Blood and make sure she retains the championship. Because also Rhea, now that she's not part of Judgment Day, much more interesting chasing the title, I think, than when she'll win the title. She will win it again eventually, but right now Rhea needs to keep chasing. They kept doing that at Bad Blood. Lee, your thoughts?
No, it's been wonderful. I think about her putting her shoulder back in the socket.
Yeah,
pretty intense, amazing stuff. I don't know if that was real or not. It looked real.
It looked real.
Yeah, I don't know if it was real.
I don't think it was.
Well, I got to tell you, Ray, I've done that before. So I was in a game once and my shoulder popped out and I ran myself into a wall to put it back in. Yeah. So I saw that I had momentary flashbacks. I was like, it can be done. So, but it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, it was Rhea's phenomenal talent. Her versus Liv. Keep it going. Dom, by the way, Dom cool. Hanging from the shark cage, escaping from the shark cage, hanging by like a piñata, then Rhea coming out with a kendo stick and beating him like a piñata, which fantastic.
It's he has played the heel so well. It's just, and they've made it better. That's what I enjoy about it too. Because I thought it was kind of lame at first, but I'm like, no, this is getting fun. This is getting fun now.
Yeah, it's a lot. WWE right now is very fun. There's also in the women's division, when will it be Tiffy time? I want Tiffy time as soon as possible. Tiffany Stratton, again, teasing that she's going to cash in Money in the Bank against Nia, but didn't cash in Money in the Bank against Nia. I think that's going to happen sooner rather than later. I think this is great. I love it. People want Tiffy time. She's, again, a phenomenal athlete, former Olympic-level gymnast, now WWE wrestler. They invested in her wisely. Absolutely fun. But it's time for her and Nia to split, right? That was a fun friendship, right? Like Beauty and the Beast almost kind of thing. not to say Nia's a beast or anything, like not to be like any, like, I'm not trying to offend anybody out there. Please, Nia, don't come find me and kill me. Because she could do that.
She could do that, yeah.
She could absolutely do that. But the point is that, like, I think it's time to break that up, and it's gonna happen, I think, sooner rather than later. So they continue to build that, again, the slow burn. And look, CM Punk beating Drew McIntyre and Hell in a Cell. CM Punk's going to take a month off. He'll come back, start a new rivalry with Seth Rollins, probably leading up to the Rumble, and then probably CM Punk wins there, goes after a world title or something at some point. They're building him up nicely. Him and Drew, by the way, very bloody. Drew actually got busted open. He needed 16 staples after the match, and these things happen. There were a few folks there criticizing CM Punk, but it happens when you're using a lot of sharp objects. The margin of error, folks, is paper thin, and stuff happens. Drew, but Drew's fine. Everybody's fine. Yeah. And then the Damian Priest Finn Balor match, which was kind of what we expected. That the last two matches actually could have been Raw matches, right? Like, it could have been, okay, Finn here, the Judgment Days, and again, okay, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And then the tag match with Cody and Roman, it's just getting Roman reps back in after a few months off. Like, the biggest thing about the final match, and now we're going to get into the big surprises, is not one, but two returns in the same match. First, we got Jimmy Uso back. Again, starting to build the original bloodline, come back together. And then the final boss, The Rock, comes back, doesn't say a word.
No words.
He just goes 1, 2, 3, and makes a signal like he's going to cut him off at the head. And interesting thing, I love how much WWE is using social media. The two biggest things that happened after the show were on Twitter only. Kevin Owens turning heel and going after Cody Rhodes and beating him up next to his bus after the show. And Solo Sikoa saying to camera, it's all part of the plan. I think we're going to get Rock with Solo. He's going to be with the new bloodline, and then you're going to have the original bloodline, and you're going to have all these machinations, and I am here for it. I am super excited. Lee, what are your thoughts on The Rock coming back?
I don't remember in recent years the level of showmanship and crafting of the storylines that we're seeing right now, from the writing, from the performing, from the anticipation, and the ability to use, I'll say a very popular quote, but they're letting it cook. It's like simmering. Like they're doing this correctly. They're not rushing anything. They know you're going to watch. The pacing is so good right now with these storylines. Like, yeah. Ray, I'll ask you, I'll throw it back on. Do you remember outside, obviously, like just leading up to last WrestleMania, before that, pacing like this? Because it's brilliant. And here's the thing, man, like,
it's been decades. I'm
not wrong, right? It's like, look, this is Attitude Era level stuff.
Yes.
All right. And the other thing too, and there has not been anything as good since then, right?
No.
Since the peak of the WWE.
No, ruthless aggression, PG era. No.
And the thing is this, like, the guts to have Dwayne Johnson, one of the top 3 biggest stars in the world, show up for 15 seconds. That's amazing to me. Now, again, he obviously is invested in this down to his core.
Right.
But like,
well, he and financially now as well.
Of course, but it's just like, I'm just going to show up. I'm not going to say a word. It's just like, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's Undertaker level shit. It's unbelievable. I'm very interested to see what's going to happen if he continues to go heel, or if he's going to be the linchpin that brings that family back together. For something, right? And then, whenever the final boss is there, The Rock, it's who's he bringing with him? Like who else is coming out of that era to do something, right? That can still move.
Yes. Yeah.
They still kind of have that Austin thing in their back pocket.
Yeah, I still think that it's not off the table that Stone Cold makes one more return.
It wouldn't make sense right now, but like, because like they needed someone to stop The Rock. Yeah. Right. So I don't know if that's this storyline or not. And I don't know. Again, I don't even know if we need Austin right now. It's just, man, it's fun. And again, remember, he left after WrestleMania with that, that just really weird statement of like, if you ever do this to me again, we still don't know what that means. And I guess we're going to find out.
Yeah, we are going to find out. And I cannot wait.
But I love the pop The Rock gets. Doesn't matter what he does. Doesn't say a word. Yes. Now, he was on Instagram Live during that whole thing.
Oh, so, great. I didn't realize.
You can go back and watch. He didn't really say much. I mean, he went out there and he came back. He's like, final balls. Here we go. Final ball. Oh, what's going to happen? Final balls. And he just kept doing what he does of like, here, you walk with me. And then he got his truck and he drove away playing old 80s metal.
Yeah, see, I watched Bad Blood on replay late in the evening because I was at LA Comic-Con during actual Bad Blood for a podcast panel representing Geeks Who Like Sports.
Well, you should start a podcast one day, right? It would be a great idea.
I know. If only I had somebody to start a podcast with. Yeah. So, but yeah, also real quickly from Bad Blood, they announced the Crown Jewel Championship, a men's and women's title that it will be champion versus champion. The winner of this champions versus champions match gets this special championship because the WWE gets $1 billion a year from Saudi Arabia, and it's not $1 billion, but it's a lot of money. And they're just trying to make it, give them something special.
They're giving them a belt for that event.
That's basically it. You will see this belt right directly leading up to Crown Jewel, and then maybe shortly after, and then you won't see it for a whole other year. Right. And it's the Saudi Arabia belt, basically. And good on Atlanta, by the way, for booing the hell out of it because screw Saudi Arabia. But yeah, I mean, look, I get it. They're giving WWE a lot of money, but screw the Saudis. So, moving on. Speaking of wrestling, Speaking of wrestling and people who should go screw themselves, HBO Max. AEW signed a massive deal. It's like $45 million a year for 4 years or something. AEW is going to now start being on Max in 2025, and they're going to give people a discount for their pay-per-views if you get it through Max. Not for free, a discount. Right? Not like with WWE with Peacock, where if you have Peacock, you get it for free. It's part of Peacock. No, you get a discount. HBO, Warner Brothers, Discovery, whatever the hell you want to call yourselves now. You greedy SOBs. You've got a barely holding. I mean, look, Tony Khan's got more money than God, so it's not barely holding on, but in the ratings, it's barely holding on. Because a lot of folks left once WWE got good again. And you're trying to squeeze your hardcore fans for every last nickel and dime. Just say that you're bleeding money and that you're desperate. You couldn't include this in even the premium Max package? Are you kidding me? Look, we said this was going to happen. This should have happened last year. AEW should have gone to Max a year ago to try and stay competitive with WWE. But the fact that you're only getting a discount for your pay-per-views, that just does. You are just the tone deafness of the time, of your audience, of your fans. All you're going to do is drive more people away from this. This right move, wrong parameters, and definitely maybe too late. Lee, your thoughts?
Yeah, look, you're becoming the dollar store version of this entire thing, or worse, like you said, Ray. Like you're gonna drive people away. Yeah. Of like, oh, I can get it for free someplace else, and I don't have a lot of respect for companies that bleed their fan bases dry. When, like you said, you could just say we need support. But this is typical of Warner Brothers and these types of businesses, unfortunately. I mean, I do want to ask I can see our producer, Savi, thumbs up or thumbs down for AEW right now, Savi? A big thumbs down from our producer. So, we talked about this at their peak, Ray, that the WWE is not going to go away.
No.
And that you better watch out because they will figure out a way to do what you're doing better than you. They absolutely did. And they called upon their biggest gun, and he came through, and no one's talking about AEW anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, by the way, they then brought back the best AEW people. They brought back CM Punk. They brought back Cody Rhodes.
Yeah. You know, they made the same mistake that WCW made in the sense of just, you're not changing. You're not evolving talent. You're resting on the talent that you have.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. Even look, the WWE now from 2 years ago, very different. Very, very different. Now, again, some of that change was forced. But it's like, you know, it's amazing to me that, again, as predicted, the WWE continues to show why they are the best.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's 100%. WWE knows exactly what they're doing. They figure it out. And to your point, they see the competition doing something better or something that's working. They will find a way to do it better.
Yeah.
And they have. They're working with TNA better than AEW did. They got the talent and the storylines better than AEW did. And AEW is just spinning their wheels. And they're like, we put on great wrestling matches. You need more. You need the stories. You need the characters. You need the rivalries. You need to make us care. Is it physically impressive what AEW is doing? Absolutely. They are putting on some absolutely amazing matches. Will Ospreay versus Ricochet, like just classic, amazing. If you love a high-flying aerial wrestling, AEW is doing a great job. I couldn't tell you what title they're fighting over, why they're fighting, what's going on, aside from the fact that they used to fight in Ring of Honor years ago. That's it. That's the story. You need more than that. You need more. Come on. Tony Khan, nobody wants to see you in the NFL draft with a neck brace, buddy.
That was horrible. Gotta stay true to the gimmick. Yeah, 30 years ago you did. Not now.
I'm available, guys. I'm available. I'm available to help. Anyway, you know who doesn't need, well, you know who might need some help? She walks the witch's road.
It was Agatha all along. I love that song.
Yes, Agatha,
what a
episode
banger.
4.
Is banger still a popular word? Do kids still say that?
Yeah, yes. Kids
I think it's going away. I think it's slowly. Let me tell you what, that song makes me feel a bit skibbity. It is the Sigma.
You've gone too far.
No, I haven't. I'm telling you, it is great.
Yes. There we go. Thank you. But yeah, it's yeah. So if I can't reach you, let my song teach you. That's the name of the episode. Look, I think, by the way, I called her like Debbie Rupp or something last week. Obviously, Deborah Jo Rupp was the actress's name. I think I called her Joanne Rupp or something. I'm sorry, I mixed it
awesome.
up. Yeah, she
Another
was phenomenal.
great episode.
But she is, she of course played Mrs. Hart. I say played in past tense because it sure does look like she's real. She's dead.
For now, I don't think she's gonna come back.
I think she's dead.
Well,
I said it last week. I think she's dead. And this, at least for this episode, she was dead because they brought Rio back in a great way. They even explained it smartly. They basically did a summoning spell to get another witch. Rio got pulled in very creepily, by the way, which I loved. And then Rio was, and Agatha was like, I can't believe it pulled you. And Rio was like, I was nearby and I filled the need. So, but we're also starting to get a little bit more about their relationship, about what they do for each other.
They're clearly lovers, and
yes.
and clearly Agatha sold the soul of the devil, so to speak, to do something.
Yes, and obviously somehow Rio took advantage, profited from that as well. Again, is she connected to Mephisto? Is she actually Blackheart? There's some other things that there could be going on there, but it only, again, makes you think. Basically, Teen is either Thomas or Wiccan, and at the very end of the episode, they very blatantly said, spoiler, Rio tells Agatha, that's not your boy. Is she lying? Again, here's the question. Is she lying or isn't she? We said it at the end we said it in the last week's Geeks Who Like Sports. Is it a red herring or isn't it? If it's not a red herring, it's Thomas. If it isn't a red herring, it's Wiccan.
Yeah.
It's one or the other. Those are your two options at this point. If it's not either of them, we're going to be mad.
Yeah. Well, I don't know who else it could be, but again, the sigil on him, there's a lot of different ways this could go. And again, I think the fact that Scarlet Witch was in the beginning might have been a hint to who Teen is, right? That maybe she entrusted Agatha as the only one that could possibly take care of him.
Or she put the sigil on him to protect him from Agatha.
From Agatha and the rest of the witches. But
And
the show continues to be awesome. Right. And I will say, like, again, the episodic nature, they're nailing it. Every one of these episodes is a standalone. You do not have to binge it to enjoy it.
Nope.
That has been the problem in the past with the Marvel shows, specifically WandaVision. So I'm enjoying this. I look forward to the next episode. I feel good after each episode. They're hitting that final note perfectly of,
yes,
you're satisfied with this episode. Here's a hint. We'll see you next week. That's exactly how you want to do it.
100%.
And I do believe that Kathryn Hahn is the greatest witch now ever to have been on TV.
She's amazing. I can't wait for every new episode. I can't wait.
Yeah. I also love that the song Down the Witch's Road is playing a reoccurring theme in this from a musical standpoint. Yes. Obviously, there's different versions of it, and the song has power.
Yeah.
As they talk about in the show. So I'm interested to see where this goes. Again, when we did leave, Teen was injured. Right?
Yes.
But
he's on the mend. He's on the mend.
So we'll see.
Yeah, but they did a great job, and a lot of just like also like old school stuff, like the record spinning backwards starts to curse and stuff. Like that used to be a thing that like you'd hear the devil music or whatever. They'll talk you spun records backwards. Obviously, from the recap, we knew this was gonna be Alice's episode, and it was all about her and her backstory and her mom, and like kind of coming to peace with it. Also, seeing the curse manifest was really cool.
That was fun.
Like a great way of doing the effects and the culmination of the episode. But yeah, I mean, and I love the theme every week. We went from Real Housewives to discotheque, right? Like it was like, I can't wait to see what happens next week. Yeah, absolutely.
And which witch is it going to be? It's probably going to be what's her name, but it's going to be fun.
I think the woman I think it's going to be the woman who has premonitions, because then I think we'll save Rio and
and they actually, it's going to be her, because they hinted that something's wrong with her this episode multiple times, that she's talking to someone who's not there.
Yeah. So they started with that a while ago, but it's starting to get more frequent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they're building up to her. And I honestly, again, not surprised that Rio's back, right? We knew that
that was coming. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. Aubrey Plaza, phenomenal. And yeah, I can't sing this show's praises enough with how it's going. And like Lee said, you said the episodic nature.
No, they're nailing it. They're just nailing it right now.
They got the formula. You know who used to have a formula, but now just doesn't have much of anything? Ubisoft. Ubisoft's in a lot of trouble. Unfortunately, Star Wars did not sell great. It's gonna it's breaking even. It's about broke even but for considering how long it was in development, considering how long it was made, and people are kind of like, this was supposed to be a big hit for both Disney and for Ubisoft. And Star Wars Outlaws was neither. And now Ubisoft, with the delay of Assassin's Creed, with Prince of Persia DLC not doing as well as they thought. Excuse me. Ubisoft's in trouble. And now there's talk that Tencent, of course, the massive Chinese media conglomerate that owns a lot of different video game companies and owns about 9% of Ubisoft. They're like, hey, Ubisoft, how about we just buy you? We'll buy you out. We're going to take the company private again. We'll buy you out. And for the first time in a long time, the Guillermo brothers who own Ubisoft are intrigued. And they are listening to this offer from Tencent, because it is getting to a point now where Ubisoft is actually they went from being one of the big, it was them, EA, and Activision were the three big third-party publishers for many, many years. Activision is now part of Microsoft. Ubisoft is slowly dying, and then there's just EA, and both EA supposedly got offers too from some of the big companies. It is not good. We saw this in television, the consolidation of media companies, or in this case, video game publishing companies. But Ubisoft is bleeding money, and the fact that they had to delay Assassin's Creed is a big loss for them.
It is, yeah.
And the fact that Star Wars did not Star Wars undersold by. Internally, they were probably expecting 10 to 12 million units, and it sold like 4 to 5. Now, again, This is also talking about the rising cost of price of development. Obviously, this game took way longer than it should have to be made and still got released buggy as all hell. And it wasn't a bad game, even though I had a lot of bugs too, and I've talked about it on the show. I still really enjoyed my time playing it. And if it wasn't for the bugs, probably would have had it. It would have been in my Game of the Year discussion. But instead, it was just really, really broken and buggy. And they are fixing it and patching it as we speak. But it kind of got labeled as a dud. And right now, financially, it's kind of like you can't spend all that money and then just break even on a game like this, or have it develop for as long as they did. So yeah, Ubisoft's in financial trouble, and Lee, it's not good in my opinion if Tencent buys them, but it's also kind of inevitable in my opinion. I think it's going to happen.
Well, this is how business works, right? I mean, the ups and downs, the lefts and rights, and buyouts are not uncommon, especially if you think you have value. The real question with Ubisoft is, do they A, have the passion to continue going, and B is, what is the net value of it right now, and do they think they can get that higher before they sell it? So this is a common business practice. Again, we'll see what happens, but the whole gaming industry is in disarray. So this does not surprise me.
I will say, speaking of prices, their stock tanked after Star Wars got such mediocre reviews.
Sure.
But the rumors of being sold to Tencent, their stock skyrocketed by 31%.
And that might be why they said that.
Yeah.
Sometimes people do that to drive the price up. Say no thanks.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Speaking of, something that would just love to break even? Joker 2.
Yeah.
And it's probably not going to.
It's definitely not going to. I wouldn't be surprised if they pull this from theaters and get it on Max now, like immediately.
Yeah. It opened to less than half of the original's opening weekend. It opened to about just under 40 million. The original opened to 96. Look, I haven't watched it. Lee hasn't watched it. It's been getting horrible reviews. People are not interested. And again, it goes to the fact that this is a time where a sequel we didn't need or didn't want, but it felt like some corporate show was like, make sequel, make us more. Make us more. Give the people more because we want more money. Because we're Warner Brothers and we don't know what's good and bad. Anyway, I just hate how horrible David Zaslav is. Bring the bus back.
But before we get to the two potential outcomes of why this movie was made, let's go back. After the first one, we both said, do not make a sequel to this film. You nailed it. It was great. It was a massive risk to do it the way that they did it. Yeah. And they did it. And they pulled it off. And I remember thinking, we don't need a sequel. Right?
Unless they were going to do like a proper Batman. Unless it was going to be
which they couldn't do. We knew they couldn't do because of the
Robert Pattinson garbage. Yeah.
Right. That too. The other thing too is that the only idea coming out of Joker 1 that was a good idea was that, well, maybe he's not the real Joker, but he inspires the real Joker. But this is the thing, Ray. You could have just left it at that, and it's fine. The Joker doesn't need a backstory.
Yeah.
And in Joker 2, and again, there's a couple theories of why this film doesn't work. They forced something down our throat, and I don't want to say what it is yet, but we didn't need forced down our throat. It's a musical. It's a controversial ending. It seemed disjointed. It did not feel good to a lot of people that have watched it.
Yeah.
But Ray, you have an interesting theory on this of why Joker 2 is the way that it is.
I have heard rumors that Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix did not want to do a sequel, but that Warner Brothers kind of forced their hands. And again, going back to the corporate shill and corporate nature of especially that company, that basically Todd Phillips kind of wrote and planned to make this a bomb, kind of as an FU to Warner Brothers for making him do a film he didn't want to do. Because he knew that no matter what, Warner Brothers was going to greenlight it because they don't know what they're doing. And they get that because, again, Joker took forever to get made. It almost did. It started and stopped like a dozen times. And then all Warner Brothers sees is profit margins. So they're like, well, the first one made a ton of money. So, yeah, do whatever you want for the second one because clearly we don't know what we're doing.
Right.
And Todd Phillips took advantage of that. And basically, it's kind of like an FU to the corporate culture that's running rampant in Hollywood right now, right? To the point where you have, that people in corporate America think that you can take anybody from a corporation and just plug them into another corporation. It's like, no, somebody who's the corporate CEO of Nestle shouldn't be the CEO then of Warner Brothers or whatever, right? Like, they're different industries that require different things. And also, look, I'm not also glorifying the old days of Hollywood, because also a lot of those people were scumbags. But the thing is now you have scumbags who are making bad product. At least they were scumbags who at least were like, but we love movies. It's like, again, it still sucks that there's all these scumbags in the C-suites of all these companies. But now it's like we get the worst of both worlds. Now we've got scumbags who also don't know how to make movies, right? So now everybody suffers. Obvious, like, it's so basically the rumor is that this whole project was just Todd Phillips, his own grand Joker-esque chaos scheme to basically flip Warner Brothers the bird and basically be like, we're going to give you a bomb, the bomb that you thought the first one was going to be.
And what's funny about that, Ray, is that the reviews are basically that the acting is fine.
Yeah.
The cinematography is fine. The story sucks.
Yeah.
So that's interesting when you think about it.
And when you think about that, Joaquin Phoenix got an Oscar for the first one. Right? That, like, it feels like everybody just mailed it in because nobody wanted to do this and they got forced to.
And you got a musical out of it.
And you got a music. Let's do, like, Todd Phillips, like, let's do the thing that's farthest from the first film.
Well, and also, too, the idea of the musical is that, you know, you're psychotic. He's psychotic and you're in his mind. And I'm like, guys, you're going too deep in this. Like, the first one had my heart pumping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to see this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a curious thought. It's just a theory. I'm sure it's a bit of a conspiracy theory, but a lot of folks in Hollywood are talking about it because it is a huge, it is the pretty much unanimous from fans and critics alike that this is a huge drop off from the first film.
Right.
So, anyway, folks, we have a great mashup for you coming up.
We do. And
a special extra long mashup.
You may have listened to it already before you heard this.
That's a possibility. In fact, I know folks, one of the things that we actually, and this is true, we got a lot of compliments for the mashups at Comic-Con this weekend. Folks who listen to the show, folks who listen to the show, like, we really love the bite-sized minisodes. And I'm like, that's great. Please also listen to the full show. But thank you. I'm glad you like the minisodes. The mashup.
We appreciate you greatly.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. But yeah, so stay tuned for a special extra long, jumbo, extra wide mashup as we are going to look at some special logos that have been made for us by a friend. And we will discuss that more on Saturday. But until then, that's it, folks. That's the show. For Lee, I'm Ray. And this has been Geeks Who Like Sports.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Bye. Like, share, subscribe.
Comment below the Geeks Who Like Sports.